it's not, the frustration doesn't hurt as much because the scoreline looks ridiculous, 5-2, and yet you know, it was a game that we felt we should have won from the position the start we had, and yet we gifted some really soft goals today to give them a real impetus. And you can't give a really good team some confidence, and in the end we were trying to protect rather than do what we did early on, press high and take it off them and nick it off them. And once we stopped doing that and started protecting at the start of the second half, we were in trouble.
Blackburn Rovers' fantastic start to 2009 comes to an abrupt halt as we're absolutely battered 5-2 against Brentford at Griffin Park. We'll talk about it next. That's right, folks, back once again with another match review, this time looking back at Blackburn Rovers' shocking collapse against Brentford at their place. Now, we'll talk about it in just 1 second. If you're new to the channel, smash your subscribe button and keep you bang up to date with all things Blackburn Rovers related, Championship related, World Football related. We're going to all here under one roof. Now, let's jump into the thick of things and take a look at it in a bit more detail. Yes, what a game. 7-goal thriller. But unfortunately, we were on the other end of the 7-goal thriller. We were actually got the 2 goals, Brentford with the 5. In fact, if the game ended after 45 minutes, Rovers would be happy as Larry. With 2 quick-fire goals by Rovers. And when I say quick-fire, I mean early doors. First goal was around about 2-minute mark. Bradley Dack putting it away. The second was a Danny Graham special from a set piece. I think it was a corner. And at that point, you think, piece of cake, jobs are good and we're off home. We're going to get 3 points and we'll make it 5 wins on the spin. But no, Brentford had other plans up their sleeve and they made a game of it, especially after Benrahma made it 2-1 around about 13th minute mark. So 3 goals in the first 13 minutes. Absolutely crazy. But we held firm and we did create more chances in the first half. And ultimately, we should have been around about 4-1 up. Or maybe even 4-2 up, I'd say. Give Brentford a little opportunity as well. But we didn't take those chances. And in the second half, it was a completely different Rovers that showed up. We did lose our 2 most creative players, or most decisive players, in Bradley Dack and Danny Graham with injury within the first 5 or so minutes of the second half. And then when Conway and Nuttall came on, we just lost it. It was like we went back a couple gears. They weren't impact subs. They weren't players that could come on and change it. Realistically, Nuttall could maybe scrounge you a goal, maybe, but he's not going to be able to. He's not a game changer like a Bradley Dack or a Danny Graham. If you were to bring on like Harry Chapman perhaps, or maybe Rothwell, I think he's a game changer. Those kind of players are game changers. Nuttall, not so much. Conway can deliver from set pieces. That's probably about it. He's battling above his weight at the moment. But yeah, the second half, completely different story. Olly Watkins, it was the Olly Watkins show. Obviously, he bagged 2 goals himself. Maupay got himself on the score sheet, as he does score a lot of goals, and Canos as well. Wrapped it up on the 90-plus minute mark. 5-2 in the end for Brentford. And yeah, they were well deserved of it. They were a completely different kettle of fish in the second half. A quick look at the stats down here. Brentford, obviously, it shows here with their desire, with the numbers. 20 shots to our 10. They had more possession as well, 61% compared to our 39% possession. They also had better passing with their better success with their passing. 79 or 78% of their passes reached their target. We only had 68. They dribbled more, 9-5. We won the aerial duels, 20-17. They were more dominant on the ground with tackles, 24 to our 19. Corners were 5 apiece, and we were dispossessed more than they were as well. 9,972 folks were in attendance for this bad boy, and they won't be disappointed because lots of goals means lots of fun. Anyway, quicker look at the starting 11s. First and foremost with Brentford. Bentley, Consular, Baobei, Geneva were the defensive quartet. Henry, Mercutio, Sawyers and Dalsgaard, flatman midfield. Benrahma and Maupay alongside Olly Watkins up there with a deadly trio up top. And they really, yeah, they looked a little bit clueless in the first half. But I don't know what they put in the cups of tea at half-time at Brentford, but they came out guns blazing and they completely rammed us to the slaughter, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, quick look at Rovers' lineup. And this is the strange thing. This is the exact same lineup that took on Hull last week, 7 days ago, and we absolutely dominated them. And they had a good time to recuperate, recover, refresh. Same 11 guys. Shambolic result in the end. But, you know, if those 11 players did start, or at least take place of the majority of the second half, I'm sure it wouldn't be as nasty a scoreline as it was. Anyway, right up between 6, Bell, Lenihan, Rodwell and Bennett. Evans, Travis, Dack, Armstrong, Reed and Graham. Now here are my match ratings. A lot of shocking numbers, and again after 45 minutes I'm sure we see a lot more 6s and 7s and maybe even 8s, but there are some low numbers here. Rye with a 5, Bell with a 4, Lenihan with a 5, Rodwell with a 5 and Bennett with a 4. Evans got a 6, Travis got a 6, Dack with a 7, Armstrong with a 6, Reed 6 and Graham with 7. Now, obviously Graham and Dack only played 48 minutes or so, that's why they have higher than the other, and obviously they scored as well. Another couple of little negatives going into the Bristol City game, which is a nasty one because they are on fire. Looks like we lost Dack and Graham in that game. Also Travis with an injury, Lennon has an injury as well, so it's a little concerning of what's going to go on in the next match, but obviously we do have some players chomping at the bit to come back. Williams, Smallwood, and of course Mulgrew, which will be good to have him back. I know last week we were singing the praises of the defensive quartet, but this time they got absolutely outplayed by a very good Brentford side, and their league table position is a bit of a, whatchamacallit, false noma. They shouldn't be down there. They should be much higher, and I'm sure they will climb the table in future weeks. Anyway, let's take a look at more stats for you. Brentford had more passes than we did, 509 to our 320. That's a considerable, that's nearly double the amount of passes. Also, they had more touches as well, 708 to our 514. And down the bottom there, you can see a quick summary of where the shots took place. And as you can see from the graph, or the bird's eye view, Brentford very, very dominant with the shoots, and they were shooting from all angles compared to our, pretty small area of the field. Anyway, if you're a heat map man just like me, you can take a look at the heat maps, and as you can see, Rovers far less green. Shows you here Brentford covering far more of the grass than they are with Blackburn in a lot of areas. Obviously, Brentford covering the majority of the pitch, pretty much. Rovers it's kind of like I don't know, a couple of little V's. They V at the back and then V at the front. But yeah, there's a lot of, I think we resulted to a lot of long balls towards the end, trying to hoof it forward a little bit, which is not the way we play. We just got outdone. We got outfoxed by a very good Brentford side, and credit to them for the big win. Anyway, what else went on? Obviously, this was a massive game, 7 goals in it, but there was plenty of more drama elsewhere. Obviously, Preston kicked off the weekend on Friday night up against Derby, ended up with a 0-0 draw. Villa can't get going as well, held 0-0 against Reading. Brentford obviously picking up the win against Rovers. Birmingham continue to defy the odds as well over Nottingham Forest 2-0 win. Hull back to winning ways, 2-0 against Stoke. Again, new manager for Stoke having a tough time of it. Sheffield United are doing what they're doing at the top of the table with a 2-0 win over Bolton. Probably one of the shockers though. Leeds stumbling against Norwich 3-1 at Ellen Road. Ipswich succumbed to Steve Bruce and Sheffield Wednesday 1-0. Millwall Rotherham battled out on 0-0 draw. Bristol City, our opponents next week, comfortably disposed of Swansea City 2-0. Middlesbrough, this one hurts a little bit. Up against West Brom, they beat them at the Hawthorns. Assombalonga with 2 of them, a 3-2 win. And Wigan beat a very weird QPR, like all over the shop at the moment. Just a quick look at what that's done to the table. Obviously, Norwich are flying high in top spot now after beating Leeds, who are in second spot. Sheffield United, West Brom and Middlesbrough and Bristol City occupy the top 4, the playoff spots. As for the bottom, Ipswich, Bolton and Reading are in the relegation zones. Rovers dropped down 11th in the table. As for Brentford, they're up to 17th. We are still 4 points off of playoffs. Obviously, Derby, Bristol City and the like have a game in hand, so that could stretch a little bit. But if we can beat Bristol City next weekend, then maybe we can get back into the old playoff conversation. But right now, I don't think we deserve to be there after this performance. We need to get back on the winning run, start it, because the next few games are definitely winnable. There are some tricky ones, but they are winnable. Bristol City is tricky, very tricky. They are the informed side in the division at the moment, flying high, red hot, can't be beat. But they are doable. We can beat them at Ewood Park. And then we have Middlesbrough as well, also Ewood Park in the horizon, as well as Reading. Lots of games. They are very winnable. But anyway, speaking of games, next weekend, this is the talk of it. A lot of interesting fruity ones here. Villa up against Sheffield United. That's tasty. That's on Friday night. Middlesbrough up against Leeds. Another difficult one for Leeds to try and get themselves back into winning lanes. They could slip into the playoffs, Leeds, the way they're playing at the moment, all over the place. Swansea up against Millwall. That's difficult. QPR against Birmingham. Derby, Hull. That's another fruity one. Sheffield Wednesday against Reading towards the bottom end of the table. Stoke against West Brom towards the top end as well. That's difficult. Norwich against Ipswich. It's the East Anglia derby. That's on Sunday. Top versus bottom. But no, you wouldn't rule out Ipswich in this one against Norwich. They'll dig their heels in. Obviously, Brentford are today's opponents. They're up against Forest. We're up against Bristol City. Bolton against Preston. A bit of a Northwest affair. And Rotherham against Wigan. Now, you've heard a little bit what I've had to say about the match. Now, what you really want to hear is what the gaffer had to say. Here's his cold, hard verdict about Rovers after the match against Brentford.
Well, it turned into a difficult afternoon for us, of course, yeah, but for long spells for staff particularly we were pretty good, and I think we deserved to score more than the 2 goals we did for staff, but I think, we had to make a decision at half-time what we were doing with our 9 and our 10, Danny and Bradley. They were both really struggling. We decided to give them 5 minutes, see how they were, but both weren't right. And I think whether they're, our strikers, they're 2 pretty important footballers for us with their leadership qualities on the pitch, and I think we lost a little bit of that after the game. I think we got a bit stretched, a bit ragged. I think we gifted them the second and third goals, to be fair. The second goal from a free kick, that we work really hard on defending free kicks, and that's really disappointing that he can just roll it square and somebody just whacks it in. I think it took 2 deflections, to be honest, but it's still really disappointing that he managed to get a shot away without getting blocked. Third goal is obviously on goal. He decided to come and help the defence and got himself mixed up, and it was in the net. After that, we went chasing a goal. We had a 5-10 minute spell where we looked at it, we might get one, but then the game ran away from us at the end. So got too stretched. Everything with our team's not really from front to back, and we played against a good team today. Give them some credit. They've got good footballers in the forward areas of the pitch. We knew that, and I thought we dealt with that really well for long spells, but not at the end, obviously. It's true. I don't know what they'll see how they are on Monday. They'll be in for treatment tomorrow, but Danny's got a sore back. Bradley's got a sore Achilles. I have no idea. The physio department will tell me early in the week, and we'll see whether it's long term or short term. Evans was. You watched the game. Evans had 3 or 4 injuries, to be honest, in the game. He was hobbling around like an old man, to be honest, so he had to come off. Darragh made his own decision, really. The game had gone, and so he came off as well. So we ended up pretty depleted. The frustration doesn't hurt as much because the scoreline looks ridiculous, 5-2, and yet it was a game that we felt we should have won from the position the start we had, and yet we gifted some really soft goals today to give them a real impetus, and you can't give a really good team some confidence, and in the end we were trying to protect rather than do what we did early on, press high and take it off them and nick it off them, and once we stopped doing that and started protecting at the start of the second half, we were in trouble. I think all teams don't like losing goals from set plays, because you have an opportunity to do the work, who goes where, who stands where, whose job's what, and I think the substitutions, of course, never help. When you make substitutions, it's very difficult to get all the information onto the substitutes, who generally, when you've been practicing them, are working on the other team. So it's frustrating, because I think probably if we hadn't made the changes which were necessary, we maybe wouldn't have lost them goals, because maybe, for instance, Dack or Graham would have been in different positions on a pitch. Yeah, and we will. You know our team. We'll be fine. We'll look forward to preparing for what is another very tough game against Bristol City, where I think 1-6 on the bounce. So don't know how they got on today, but it's another tough game, but a game at home that we should look forward to. No, you can't. You didn't know we were going to lose 4 players today. You can't go into a game thinking I don't like stockpiling loads and loads of players, because it doesn't create an environment that's conducive with good work, and a group that's got tight affinity with each other. You have to. I think the number of players we've got is good. Every team suffers injuries at times. We only 2 or 3 weeks ago we only had 1 centre half out of 5, and because 4 weren't available. So it happens. Let's hope that these injuries aren't too bad, and let's just keep moving forward.
So when we first started the game, in the first 10 minutes, our defence was pretty shocking. We went 2-0 down. It got to 12 minutes and we made a comeback of 2-1. It got to half time. It was a good, decent game of football. Second half, I think we just let loose on them, to be honest. It went 2-2, 3-2, 4-2, 5-2. Key players, I reckon. It's hard to really tell. Said Ben Rama, who I said is the best signing of this season. Who else? Sergi Canos. It was his birthday today and he got the last winning goal. And yeah, to be honest, it was a really good game. Blackburn, they played decent football. Blackburn, do you know what? I like the way that they play. And I think it just came down to who wanted it more at the end of the day. And I think we did. So yeah.
Now you've heard a little bit what I've had to say about the match. Now what you really want to hear is what the fans had to say. Well, some of the fans and of course one of the players were in full voice on Twitter. Let's take a look at it. Matt Southgate said this. Felt for Benno out there, got run ragged, need another option at right back with Nyambe out. Also, Rothwell would have made more of an impact than both Ben Brereton and Nuttall together. On to Bristol City, we learn and come back better. Elliot Bennett, obviously, in that game. Really disappointing defeat today. Started the game very well, but a poor second half killed us. Gutted the winning run as it ended. Back to the training ground Monday and start again. Great travelling support. Over on the BRFCS.com forum, whoever's in control of their Twitter sphere said this. Can't but help thinking that 2-0, a number of hours thought job done. I was one of those. But we are way too brittle when going gets tough. To capitulate as often as and as thoroughly as we have this season when we know how we can play is hugely concerning. Meanwhile, Stu Cave said this. Should have been 10-2. We got battered on the right wing all afternoon. Not Benno's best day, but hats off to a good team. Josh Boshwell said this. Well then, that's Nyambe, Mulgrew and Williams back in the team, and much agreed there. Gareth Williams said this. Not an overreaction to state how poor we were after going 2-0 up. Worryingly highlighted lack of strength. But after goal scorers went off injured, Bennett was badly exposed, Trav lost, but I love this team and fully expect them to bounce back. All guns blazing next week. Come on, you Blues. One bad game and people lose their minds. This is from Daniel Ross. We are mid-table with a mid-table budget. Yes, we win some games, we lose some. We have a team that is being built by a manager who actually appreciates the youth development and looks for players that will stay with us long term. Chapman may not be fit, but get him there and he will be a force to be reckoned with. Travis is young and will make mistakes, but look at how far he's come. Season. Mowbray is working on plans, and I should have clicked more because he was talking more, but I'm sure it's good stuff. If you want to check it out, have a look on Twitter. Craig Blogg said this. Well, I must say, after the first 20 minutes, I thought, wow, we are carrying off from where we left off Hull. But then we got sloppy with our closing down and our passes and got what we deserved today. To be fair, Brentford took their chances really well. Aaron Holt said this. Yes, we lost. Yes, the ref may have been a bit biased. No, Mowbray doesn't need to go. Yes, we could have made a few more signings in January. Yes, I'm disappointed. No, I'm mad, but about where we sit in the table. I think we're just over-expecting of ourselves or where we sit in the table. And yet some of you still want Mowbray's head. If it's not mistaken, this is the same manager who nearly kept us up, got us promoted back to the Championship, sitting comfortably just shy of the playoffs. Now what we need to do is fill Ewood. Stop boycotting Ewood after Mowbray has told Richie Sharp that there was a budget, which means Venky's are backing their manager. That's all to be said. Rovers still die. Tony Mowbray's Blue Barmy Army. Those three comments were not on Twitter. They were on Facebook. Just so you know. Anyway, back on Twitter. Matt Stilto said this. Lightning start from Rovers. Bad tackle on Dack. Put him out of the game. Graham also injured. Game plan changed when we forced into a double sub. Nightmare second half. Important to keep our heads and focused. Don't allow today to turn into December form indeed. Now, over on the BRFCS.com forum, a couple of little fans are vocal out there. Let's take a look at it. Blue Boy 33333 said this. We're still theoretically in the hunt for playoffs. Our away form will undoubtedly scupper that. Last 10 games, we've only won 2 away and conceded 4 times. Fourth once. 5 once. That's very poor. Mowbray needs to find a way of playing away from home that gives us a chance of winning. Meanwhile, Exiled in Toronto said this. There's no doubt that for all the much vaunted togetherness, this group of players are soft as shit in adversity. Heads down, shuffle pack up the field, upfield for the kickoff. No one taking accountability. No one letting other players know that they're letting the team down. Until we get in a couple of snarlers, we aren't going anywhere. And Dally Dally says this. Just watched the highlights. 5-2 flatters them. Graham and Dack going off changed the game, but we were still in it till Reyes Howler. Then chasing it, we got caught out. Disappointing after such a good start, but we will have these days. It is a tough league. We lick our wounds and then move on to Reading game. But before Reading, it is Bristol City. Meanwhile, Jim MK2 said this. You win promotion by having a solid defence, not trying to outscore the opposition. Priority number 1 is to have a keeper who doesn't cost vital points by making silly mistakes, then a dominant centre half. We have neither. Meanwhile, Ewood Ace said this: the story of Rovers' season thrown away from a winning position. After a few clean sheets, that's papering over the cracks. It only took conceding one goal, then the panic sets in, and as far too often happens, the floodgates open. Once we concede one, we are always more than likely to concede at least one more. Mowbray talks about our great team spirit, but too many times this season, heads drop, they stop working, and we get thumped. Once Dack and Graham go off, let's be honest, that was the end of our hopes, scoring a third. But that's our own fault for not bringing someone in. Shame we didn't appear to work out the foreign market had value until deadline day because of Brentford. Show today there is value in it. It's one good thing comes out of the result. It will be that one of our best defenders and brightest prospects, Ryan Nyambe, will be back in the team next week. It's ridiculous that he's not even making the squad. Bennett has never been and never will be a fullback. He is Mr. Universe though. He can play everywhere, but realistically, if you've got a right back, you've got to be playing the right back. Maybe there is something between the lines. Anyway, folks, that's pretty much all I've got for you today, folks. If you enjoyed the video, smash the old thumbs up. If you do, smash the subscribe. We'll be back here previewing the Bristol City game very, very soon. Before that, make sure you check out the old description. Links to other social media platforms are in there. Twitter, Facebook, all that kind of good stuff. It is in there for your leisure. Lots of content on the YouTube channel. Pretty much all of it Rovers related, but there are some other bits and pieces knocking around in there. But yes, we go again. This one for me, yeah, it sucks that we conceded 5 goals having been 2-0 in front. But at the start kickoff, I would have taken a point. I would have taken 1 point. So for me, it's 1 point dropped. Yes, for other people, it's 3 points dropped. But for me, it's just a 1 point. But yeah, I think if we can bounce back, if we bounce back against Bristol City, who are looking absolutely phenomenal, and I'd say right now they are the dark horses for something. They could not only secure themselves a playoff berth, but they could kick on. They could be a Millwall and just keep on winning like they did last season. And if we could sidestep them and get ourselves a big win at Ewood, then we got Reading, then we got Borough as well. All winnable games. Obviously, when we bring Borough back to Ewood Park, it's a different kettle of fish. The Reading game is massive as well on the horizon. But first and foremost, let's focus on Bristol City. Get the 3 points there, and I think we can start to relax a little bit, and then maybe get ourselves back into the conversation. But right now, let's take a breath, regroup. Let's get some of these boys back in. Let's get Mulgrew back in, because we had 2 or 3 decent free kicks today. Then I'm sure at least Mulgrew would have stuck one on the back of the net, and then that would have been a completely different game. Anyway, folks, I'm going to let you get over. Until then, thumbs up, subscribe. Thanks again for watching. Please like, share, and most importantly, hit the subscribe button to keep you bang up to date with all things Blackburn Rovers related, Championship related, football related. We've got it all covered right under one roof. And while I still have you, please be sure to check out some of the old videos scattered along here. I hope.